exciting time to be told by your head coach that you're going to make your first appearance, that he believes you're up to it, and to go out there and that he trusts you. And that's what Paul Anderson and Francis Cummins would have said to these 6 debutants here tonight. And they'll have family and friends from their amateur clubs watching the games on television here on Sky Sports, and it's a special time for a player, Sean.
It sure is, Brian. I mean, just because it's the last game of the season, it doesn't really matter, particularly for the Bradford players. I agree with what Phil said. You've got to find a reason to play. You can't find a reason to win if you can't find a reason to play this game. So it doesn't matter what motivates you. I never cared too much as a coach when people spoke about motivation. I used to say to players, you find a reason to play. I'm not bothered what it is. You find a reason to go out there. You find a reason to practice and take part in this team and want to win, and you'll be okay. And I think that's what Bradford are all about tonight.
Ben Thaler, the referee, gets us underway, and the Huddersfield Giants kick it off. It is a farewell night for 3 of the Bradford players. Jamie Langley, it'll be a farewell from the sidelines. The veteran Bulls star failing a fitness test, can't play tonight. And also on the field, Keith Lalea and Michael Platt, who's on the bench. They'll be playing their last games for the club as well. So it will be a fond farewell from the Odsal faithful for them.
And the side have started very well, the visitors. I mean, that's fantastic defence to start the match driving your opponents backwards. Well, it certainly sets the platform here, and the tone, I think, for which they want to take this challenge to the Bradford Bulls.
Lovely evening here in Bradford. A lot better than the weather forecasters were predicting, but save the odd squally shower, it's been a very sunny and pleasant afternoon and perfect playing conditions on a superb-looking Odsal Stadium surface as Bradford get to the end of their first set of 6 of this, their final game of Super League 18. And the ball is belted long, and a first touch at the back for Jake Connor, who's one of the stars of Huddersfield's Academy Under-19s team and scored a lot of tries, I think 9 in the last 8 games, and certainly one to look out for tonight.
Well, all of the information, the coaches who work at Huddersfield think that the number 28, Jake Connor, the fullback, is the man who will perhaps ignite and excite us here in this match. It's very difficult, I suppose, to start, but it'll be under pressure with the kicks coming downfield to him from Luke Gale.
Yeah, Gale and Samet acting at half-back this afternoon for the Bradford Bulls, and the first penalty is blown by Ben Thaler, and it goes to Huddersfield.
This is a perfect start for Huddersfield. The defence was good enough to begin the match, putting Bradford under pressure, forcing them to kick from deep, and now the Bulls have committed a mistake on the half-back, going to the line, tackled out by his opposite number, Luke Gale. And this kick to touch here should just show us early in the match how good this Huddersfield side are at combining, what sort of team understanding they've got.
Well, speaking to Paul Anderson at training yesterday, very confident that Huddersfield would go here and be very, very competitive, if not win this game. Peter Riding, the head of youth development at the Giants, similarly confident that these boys can certainly play. And they're handling the ball very neatly early on in the piece. There's no nerves out there from the young Huddersfield Giants.
What a brilliant tip on Josh Johnson to Jacob Furbank. Great confidence and good movement here of the players. Lots of black jerseys in motion.
Hint of a forward pass, not blown by Ben Thaler, not spotted by the touch. David Fayumu in at dummy half. He is the old man of the party at 30 years of age. He's the only man with a 3 at the start of his age, and he comes very close to getting the first 4 in terms of the points of this match. Loose pass this time. Little chip forward over the top. Bradford should deal with it, although it's fumbled, knock on, and this is a very good start by the Huddersfield Giants. They've done everything right in defence, and now they've put a couple of good sets together.
All on the back of the way they started the game. The commitment to defend has put Bradford under pressure, and the challenge in the air. It's no good kicking the ball and just allowing your opponents to catch it. Whenever they kick the ball, they want whenever possible. Now then, does it come forward off Jamie Foster? That's what the referee says. Jake Connor, 28, was in the picture, but another 6 players here now for them to get the first 4 points.
Just throw on to Stuart Cummings straight away. There's not maybe a claim for a penalty there, Stuart, when Jamie Foster knocked the ball forward, and I think a Bradford player was in front, played at the ball.
Well, I think he might have come from behind where he played it last, so I think that's probably what's saved the penalty.
Well, some of the young bucks in the Huddersfield team squaring up to some of the big boys, the big bulls. Manakafoa taking exception to something that went on in there. No question about that, as Akumatai rumbles forward. First season at Huddersfield, turned up a little overweight, described as looking like a Christmas turkey by Paul Anderson. He doesn't look like that anymore. Oh, that is a monster hit. That's a mighty hit by Jared Samet. That's a welcome to Odsal.
You've got to also be impressed with it that Jack Miller rode the tackle, bounced back out of play here, and they still kept the ball alive. Luke George now 2 or 3 metres away.
Yeah, George will be playing for the Bradford Bulls next season. signed a deal to move to Odsal from the Huddersfield Giants. There is Miller once more, no ill effects. Little grubber forward from Carl Wood. And can Bradford get on a jail hit? No, they can't. This is an excellent start by Huddersfield. Yeah, they had a penalty, a scrum from that knock-on from Foster, and now they're forced to goal line drop out as well.
Well, we're going to find out in the first 5 minutes of this game how interested Bradford are in winning, because they're going to have to do it tough here now for the next 60 seconds. They've been under pressure on their own line. It's a brilliant kick, isn't it, to force Elliot Keir in goal, trap him there. And what you would expect here now, 6 more players for Bradford, for Huddersfield.
Yeah, you're right to highlight Jack Miller's contribution, Phil. Jared Salmon flew out of the line and went and hit him as hard as he could. Jack Miller stood up in the tackle, and I've seen Jared Salmon put plenty of people on their backsides this season. It's a good start for the halfback. He's not scared. He's already taken the line on once. It's a promising start in his first appearance.
Yeah, England Academy star. And, well, I don't think Bradford have had to play the ball in the Huddersfield half yet. There was just that long kick, which was easily dealt with by Jake Connor. Let's give you the score from the south of France half-time score. And the Catalan Dragons have come back into it. They were 10-0 down to the Warrington Wolves. They now trail 10-6 at the interval. Miller again, not afraid to take the line on here. And this, remember, is going to be a third straight set of 6 for the Huddersfield Giants. This fresh-faced Huddersfield Giants side. Miller again. He's seen a lot of the football in this opening stages, and his more experienced halfback partner Carl Wood has let him run the show. That's a good ball to Lawrence, who's captaining the side tonight in the centre, one of the experienced guys in this Huddersfield side. Now the chip forward from Carl Wood. Oh, and it's collected beautifully by Salmon. And Salmon is off to the races here. We saw him score a try on debut for Crusaders, which was a length of the field effort against Bradford, just like this. And Jared Salmon has gone the length. Straight up the middle of the interception. And against the run of play, Huddersfield, having dominated the first 6 or 7 minutes, suddenly find themselves behind. Cruel game, Phil.
Well, every team needs a special player, and the Bradford Bulls certainly have it. As you said, 3 tries he scored the last time he played against them, and in probably his first touch of the ball here, he's come up with the first 4 points. That is a wonderful effort, you know. When you have a rugby ball in your arms, it's a massive detriment. The players chasing both of the wingers, Blackmore and Dawson here, are virtually on line with him when he receives possession. You can see one sets off the top of your screen, another at the bottom, and initially you think that one of them is going to get there, but none of them are close enough to get within distance of touching him or preventing him from going over. A brilliant response, having been under pressure, they bounced back here. And the man who so early in the season was the high hopes really for Bradford to make it through to the playoffs, and then the barren spell in the lower half of the league, well, he's come up with a great start for the Bradford side.
Well, if you want to ask, is there anything they could do a little bit better, the Huddersfield Giants, to defend that? They've had Jake Connor chase most of the kicks. So when Jake Connor, your fullback, is going to chase the kicks, you as a winger have got to cover around behind him. And on that occasion, it was Matty Dawson that should have immediately been covering back to the middle of the field as soon as that kick went across the... So should that happen, should somebody intercept the ball and go the field, you've already got a head start on them. But he'll learn the lesson from that occasion.
Well, Bradford still haven't had to play the ball in the Huddersfield half of the field, but what they have got is a try and a goal from Jamie Foster, who is one of the lethal kickers in the Super League. He didn't have to worry too much about that low degree of difficulty. 6-0 to the Bradford Bulls, and Jamie Langley watches on his farewell night here. He's been at the Bulls since he was 16 years of age, 13 seasons or so, but he will be moving on at the end of this campaign.
He's enjoying the music as well as he was bopping along there. He's loving it. He's been a fantastic player for this organisation. He'll be delighted to see his team go out. If they can come out with a victory tonight, that'll be he'll be very, very happy indeed. Interesting to see how Bradford approach this now, because as you've rightly said, Rod, Bradford haven't yet played a ball inside the opposition half. It's been all down here. They've had to defend their line a couple of times. You can see Huddersfield getting off the line now, getting 3 into the tackle, slowing the play down so they can come forward on the next play. There's a little one from Matt Diskin who's got through. That might just get the roll going.
Well, Diskin, real veteran. He won the man of the match at the grand final for Leeds in 2004. Amazing to think that's 9 years ago now, and a lot of knee problems since, and a move to the Bradford Bulls, but still rumbling along. Matt Diskin for the Bulls as Samet pokes one forward down this near touchline and chases his own kick to put a little bit of pressure on this young fullback Connor, who's handled 2 balls pretty safely. Good conditions for fullbacks tonight. No rain, no wind really.
It's great conditions for rugby league, and we've had a pretty impressive start. Bradford were under pressure on the line with that goal line dropout, the penalty, but everybody seemed in the right place, and there was enough commitment to the cause to prevent Huddersfield scoring. They do look like a highly motivated and very enthusiastic, as you would expect, for Huddersfield team. So many players starting out their Super League careers want to impress early on.
Well, they've not done a deal wrong so far, have they? It was just that kick from Carl Wood that was picked off by Samet. He went the length, and apart from that, Huddersfield, if you took that little incident out of the game, they'll be delighted with the way the first 8 minutes have gone.
And that's exactly what you've got to do. You've got to take that out of your mind and say, that was a freak try. We won't concede one of those again. Well, they might, but we'll see. But you've got to let that not get in the way of the plans. They've been doing a lot of good things so far in this game, Rod. The fact that they're behind on the scoreline shouldn't affect them.
Carl Wood's left boot sends the ball downfield to Curtis Norton. Got a couple of fullbacks tonight. Inexperienced on debut. He's 18 years old. Curtis Norton. So there's plenty of young talent coming at both these clubs, and they're both having to blood some youngsters tonight with injuries, and Huddersfield resting some of their big hitters ready for the playoffs. Lulia is there, and he finds Gale. Possible 40-20 here if he gets the right bounce on the ball, but it comes as a more of a leg break than an off break, and it's collected very easily by Jake O'Connor. This time does slip, and Bradford Bulls have 3 men in there to wrap it up and turn him back towards his own goal line.
And that's a brilliant game. When teams kick the ball deep downfield, basically they're trying to buy some land, aren't they? And there was a gain of about 50 metres from where he kicked it to where the tackle was completed. Sensational chase there from Bradford. Great commitment, having done a lot of work in the first 10 minutes, but now reversing it and turning the table.
Yeah, it's one of the ways you take enthusiasm out of a team. Huddersfield have been so dominant, even though they're not on the scoreboard. They've been so dominant. Exactly right, Phil. You turn them around, you say, right, you go all the way back there now, and let's see if you come back with the same enthusiasm this time. If Bradford can do that a couple of times, they'll slow Huddersfield down.
Well, Huddersfield are fielding one of the youngest sides in the history of Super League tonight, and that is going to go sailing out off the boot of Carl Wood. The average age of this squad is just under 20. The average squad number is 23, which really says it all about the side that's on show tonight. But Carl Wood's got more experience than that. He's been around the block, and that really is a shocker, isn't it? He's overshot that by 10 yards.
Well, he set off, didn't he, as though he was going to run the play, and then it's very difficult when you're sprinting at the defenders to, I think, find the accuracy of the kick. And Bradford, having worked the way here now for the last couple of minutes, the seesaw's turning. They're starting the ball inside the opponent's half, and we'll get to see with some more experience whether they can put any attacking players on here.
Diskin will be doing a lot of orchestrating. A ball dropped inside, and by Jared Samet, it's knocked on, says Ben Thaler.
That's a tragedy, isn't it? Because they created an overlap on the outside, and there was space on the inside, but the final pass let them down here. There's a chance that there are 2 men out wide should he pass. Puts the ball back inside to Elliot Keir.
I think he's saying it's a forward pass, isn't it? Because it came off.
Slipped out of his hands,
well,
doesn't
yeah,
it?
it's gone forward, and then George knocked it on. But obviously, Stuart, clearly the ball going forward is the first offence, and that's why Huddersfield will get the scrum down.
That's right, that was the first offence, and as you said, the scrum down to Huddersfield, so they get the ball back.
But there's a great example, Rod, of sometimes in a game we ask a player to use some vision. I think Jared Samet's a fine player. But in that situation, he's running a set play back on the inside, and that's the only thing he had in his mind. If he plays outside, like Phil Clark says, I believe they go on and score.
Well, Samet is their leading try scorer by some distance for Bradford, 21 this season, and he's also leads the way in clean breaks and tackle busts for Bradford Bulls, so it'd be no surprise if he's the go-to man tonight, Jared Samet. He's got that try, which makes it 22 for the season, the length of the field. Intercepts from the Carl Wood kick, but it's Huddersfield on the attack again, as they have been for much of this contest so far. Wood again handling the ball, this time making sure he keeps it in hand. No mistakes with the kick so far. He's been out in the full once and had one picked off by Jared Samet. What can they conjure up from their final 2 tackles in this set of 6, the Huddersfield Giants? Wood again, this time he puts it to the ground. That's a much better kick, and it might force a drop out. It won't. It goes over the dead ball line, and Bradford will get the 20-metre restart.
Well, pretty smart play, isn't it, by Curtis Norton here. He takes a risk, any player who's waiting near the line, but he thinks it's going to bounce, go out of play. By waiting patiently there, he's side out possession rather than kicking it out from the own line. I'm being impressed by both his decisions and the speed with which he's accelerated when he's had the ball in his hands. Not just about the young players for Huddersfield. Curtis Norton's looked pretty good in the first 12 minutes too.
Well, the Bulls have struggled to get over the halfway line for much of this match, but they are over it again now. Jamie Foster, the twinkling feet, good offload too. And half a gap on this near side, and it almost turns into a bigger gap in the end for Danny Addy, who's played in virtually every position on the field in the last few weeks. Standoff, hooker, second row. Found himself out on the wing there briefly. This time it's Gale. got plenty of height, but not enough distance, and picked off on that far side beautifully by Matty Dawson. He did well there.
Great kick and a great catch, wasn't it? We've seen some excitement here. We weren't quite sure exactly how this game would unfold, with Bradford little to play for, I suppose, and Huddersfield with some unfamiliar names, but it's equal to any intensity that I've seen in the Super League game this season.
Yeah, it's been good so far, and you can understand his kick there. He had numbers. Had the Huddersfield player not been able to snatch that ball, there was plenty of Bradford players around to pick it up. Any sort of scraps that would have come down the ground, but he did very well in the end. Matty Dawson securing the ball and allowing his team now to attack the Bradford Bulls.
Akumatai rumbling forward, taken down there by Manakafoa. Well, this time it's a bit more of an unscripted kick, but it's a high one, it's a hanging ball, it's a dangerous one. It's picked up again by Addy, and it's a penalty for offside against the Huddersfield Giants, who were too trigger happy getting in front of the kicker and then too close to the man receiving the football.
Well, mix up in communication. Maybe people starting to get tired for this Huddersfield team when that sort of happens, doesn't it? You know what, the kicker wasn't in the right position, the chasers had already set off, and really they lose the concentration, and the ball is easily now returned over the halfway line for Bradford.
Ball 6-0 up. Jared Samet, the try scorer in the 7th minute from length of the field try, as he picked up a pass, picked up a kick rather from Kyle Wood and went the length. Manakafoa now comes charging forward for the Bradford Bulls, the former South Sydney and North Queensland player from the NRL. Loose pass this time, fumbled away, went backwards, says the referee. Samet's got his hands on the ball again. He steps off 1 foot and goes through 2 or 3 tackles. Jared Samet's putting on a masterclass here. This time it goes loose in the tackle. The referee says it was a high shot. It will be a penalty to Bradford, but Samet is threatening to light up Odsal tonight with a one-man show, Phil.
Well, he's certainly taking the game to the opponents, isn't he? There was nothing on the ball had come to him in an unstructured fashion, but he just decides to run hard and straight and then change direction at the last minute. You can see he's caught around the head. Penalty here now. And Bradford do certainly look, when he has the ball, like too hot for the Huddersfield team to handle.
Well, Coach Francis Cummings was bitterly disappointed with his side's performance last weekend when they lost at home to the London Broncos, who hadn't won for months in Super League. The Bulls beaten 20 points to 10 here. They are in front. Gale looking to force a ball out to that far side. Well, they did have a hint of an overlap. It was shut down very quickly. Here's Addy once more. He's got Lalia with him, and Lalia is there for a farewell try. Keith Lalia for the Bradford Bulls has gone over for their 2nd try of the match. He'll be moving to West Tigers down under next season, but he's put Bradford 10-0 up.
Well, they're shown here now, they're finding space out wide, and the decision-making perhaps from the Huddersfield defenders on the flanks, not quite able to cope with the experience that Bradford are going here now. Great try for the winger here. Look,
well, you were critical of Jared Samet beforehand because he went through with a pre-prescribed play, and you're absolutely right. The best halfbacks will wait to see what the defenders do before making decisions themselves. He did on that occasion and won his team a penalty. Well, if they shift the ball back, well, I've tipped this man, Keith Lalia, for a hat-trick here today. I think he's going to be too big and too strong for the Huddersfield defence. On that occasion, he strolled in untouched.
I think we need to give a lot of credit to Elliot Keir here. He's a player who played 26 times on the wing. He's an ever-present. We're expected to see him a bit more like a fullback, which is what he's doing here. Bringing the ball from one side of the field to the other, finding the space for Keith Lalia to score.
That's Keith Lalia's 20th try for the Bradford Bulls in 54 games, which is a pretty decent ratio. And as you see, heading down to join West Tigers, one of the players bidding farewell to Odsal Stadium tonight. Jamie Foster will have the job of trying to add another 2 points to the tally. 10-0 to the Bulls at the moment. Huddersfield started brightly, conceded to Samet, now conceded to Lalia. And Foster, one of the master marksmen with the boot in Super League, former St Helens and Hull player, signed on at the Bradford Bulls at the start of this season. Can he make it 12? No problem at all for the lethal Jamie Foster, and the Bulls 12-0 in front.
Well, he can kick a ball, Jamie Foster, there's no doubt about that. When it comes to trying to put 2 onto 4, Jamie Foster's your man in Super League, as we said before, averaging about 10 points a game in his 80-game career. You're right about Elliot Keir, Phil. He broke up the defence by flicking back across to the left-hand side of the field. They're at 6 and 7s then. Blackmore, perhaps, well, there was not a whole lot he could do, but do something. Come in, charge in, and if they're good enough to get the ball past you, well, then your team and your coach are going to have to accept that. But just don't get left stranded with your hands up in the air.
Yeah, the pressure comes on you, doesn't it, when there's ineffective defence. When the tackle is supposed to be made and is made, very rarely a defensive pattern's threatened. But when somebody beats someone and fends someone else off, everybody else gets nervous. And then you have to make major decisions then. Your decision-making process is pretty easy when everybody's going forward and you're making the tackle. As soon as there's a miss or an ineffective, everyone else gets nervy and under pressure. That's exactly what happened to Huddersfield then.
We've mentioned that Huddersfield are missing a whole host, a galaxy of stars. But Bradford too have got their problems tonight. They're missing players. They're not missing Danny Addy, though, as he charges forward. Carney, Struton, Patel, Bateman, Blythe, Sidlow, Lestrange, Langley and Walker are all missing from the Bradford Bulls side tonight. And almost all of those, if not all of those, would be first choice for Francis Cummins is 17. Diskin to Luke Gale. Gale has got plenty of time, and if they keep giving him that kind of time, then they'll be punished, no doubt. As Keir comes onto the ball on that far right-hand side, as Phil said, he can play fullback or wing. He's on that right wing tonight. Manakafoa takes 3 Huddersfield Giants to take him down, and this is their final tackle. Diskin's in there, scheming once more. Gale has his hands on the ball. A little prodded kick towards Samet, and it'll be hacked dead for a 20-metre, for a goal line dropout, as Huddersfield are starting to feel the heat a little bit now.
Well, you have to credit the total set of 6 that they've just had. They've scored a try, received the ball near their own try line, and by the end of the set, they're in a position to put in a short attacking kick, which puts Blackmore under pressure. He has to force the ball out of play, and Bradford will get the ball again. That's great control of the match in the opening quarter.
If you're a Bradford player, you're thinking, we have these guys now. There's 19 minutes gone in the game. We're 12-0 up. We're really starting to turn the screw. They're starting to create a lot of space out wide, either side, right hand or left hand, when they decide to flick the ball. And some of the edge defenders for the Huddersfield Giants are going to have some very difficult decisions to make in the coming sets.
Well, there's a world of difference, obviously, between academy games and first team at Super League level, and being able to play for 40 minutes solidly at this pace and at this level is going to test these young Huddersfield Giants. A lot of the teenagers, as we said. Here's Lalea, who Brian Carney was saying might be too big and too strong. He almost was there. He squeezed through half a gap, but then Luke George came in alongside a colleague to knock him down. But Bradford threatening a third try once more here. They've got 2 in the bank from Samet and Lalea. Threatening a third, which could make it 18-0 very, very early. Another kick towards the try line from Gale. And that is brilliantly taken on the far side. That really is top quality stuff. They've handled the high ball very well.
Well, they kicked it to Kyle Wood, didn't they? He's the shortest man, number 32. It's not a bad idea. A lot of teams kick the ball to the winger, but he's ready and set, expecting the kick. Just in field is the more dangerous one for the defenders to cope with. But he was certainly able and confident enough to demand the ball on that situation.
You're right, about 5 feet in, more infield, Phil. You're going to have a second rower jumping over the top of a halfback, which will give them a height advantage, definitely, when they're going to have to take a kick. But he did very well on that occasion to bring that down.
Cruz Leeming is off the bench and in there at dummy half. It's his 18th birthday today. He'd only played 7 minutes of Super League action. He played 7 minutes against Warrington at home in July and scored with his very first touch of the football in Super League. So happy birthday to Cruz Leeming, and another slice of Super League experience for the young man.
He's going to get plenty of action here now defensively. Certainly 60 minutes left in this game. 12-0 is an interesting part in the game here, and Bradford, as Brian's pointed out, probably do look in control. The first try was a lucky one. The second one certainly well deserved here. But as the game goes on, Huddersfield need to hang on at this point. Every game has a period in which there's a tough part. Now, the losers sometimes are the side who are in control, do have a lead at this point, but the other side have an ability to cling on. Do Huddersfield have that capability here now, as the game is just riding away from them?
High shot on Sandwood by Luke George. Scored a brilliant try in the mud here for Huddersfield last season, but hasn't really had many opportunities for the Huddersfield Giants this time around. Played only 6 matches this season. Luke George was first choice winger last season, has found himself out of favour this time around and will be joining the Bulls next season. Now he's doing some defending for the Huddersfield Giants, who are under the pump a bit here now. Having started brightly, the heat is being turned on. Matt Diskin goes from dummy half. He's made an art form of that over the last decade or so for Leeds and here for the Bradford Bulls. Here coming across once more and going through half a gap. Can he offload? No, he can't, but he had a man on his shoulder, which was Addy, who was looking to gobble up an offload and go over for the Bradford's third try. Samet now. A high ball, it'll produce, I was going to say it will produce a certain try. It should have produced a certain try. But the ball was fumbled when it looked easier to score, in all honesty.
Is that a try-saving knockdown, Stuart? We might get to see it again in a few moments, but he certainly threw the arm, didn't he, above the ball, which knocked it from his grasp.
That's what the referee's ruled. He's ruled it went that way, and so it's play on.
You certainly have to ride through here. Is it Diskin going for the line? And Kumatai hits the ball above it. But Diskin's lost it, and it's saved the try. It keeps the Huddersfield side in the game, and at the moment, defence is a problem for the visitors. You can see their tackle success rate, well, almost at 90%, far lower than the Bradford side. It's where they're struggling at present, but maybe with a penalty here or a little bit of luck, they can get out of their own danger zone.
Well, they're going to have to do it via the boot. It's a big kick, it's a high kick, but it's going to be returned with some considerable interest here for Curtis Norton. He's done well there, Norton. Young teenager who wouldn't have known he was playing until this morning, because Bradford had one or two fitness checks to make, and they had to make fitness checks on Jamie Langley and Seb Walker. Once those two guys were ruled out, they had to shuffle their side around quite considerably, Francis Cummins and his coaching staff. So Norton's done very well.
He has indeed, Rod. The line speed from the Huddersfield Giants is very good. Just their contact, the collision is not so great. Bradford Bulls have been able to poke their nose through the line, get a quick play of the ball, and get some little half breaks. You watch some arms get free later on this game, some offloads come. So keep up the line speed, Huddersfield, but you got to seal up the ball on the man.
Oh, and that looks forward to me, and more importantly, looks forward to Ben Thaler off the fingertips of Jared Samet, and Francis Cummins gets the message out down to his players on the sideline.
Well, this game's all about a learning curve, and it seems as though the Huddersfield defenders out wide are learning very quickly, because the quicker they get up and close down Jared Samet, the less defending they're going to have to do, and the life they make themselves easier for themselves.
Well, they're going to learn on the job here, these young Huddersfield players. Samet, as I mentioned, he made that debut for Crusaders against Bradford. He scored a brilliant individual try. That was at the Magic Weekend down in Cardiff. It was an astonishing try by Samet as he announced his appearance in Super League.
I guess this game has always been, and probably always will be, about field position. And if you don't have it, it's just amazing how a team can, you just watch him deteriorate. I'm watching Huddersfield here now, just starting to fatigue. Even that, look, a forward pass, a simple pass off the ruck. And people say, why did he pass it? And then other people say, why did the player overrun it? And somewhere down the line, one of those guys is at fault, if not both of them. So you put your hand up and you say, I got it wrong. Now you've just put yourself under enormous pressure. Now we'll see whether you can defend a set of six with good field position here to the Bradford Bulls.
Well, Huddersfield have won 3 of the last 4 trips to Odsal, but they're up against it here now, and they're up against it because Keir has switched wings and he's started to make a real benefit himself. Elliot Keir, the Welsh international, former Crusaders player. They've managed to slow the ball down, though, Huddersfield. That's some good defensive work. That'll just give them a little bit more breathing space and breathing time in defence. But Bradford are threatening again. They've dominated the last 10-12 minutes here, the Bradford Bulls. Luke Gale, short ball this time. 3 Huddersfield defenders are tied up to make the tackle, and Bradford have got 3 more tackles left in the bank here, and they're only 10 metres and they're knocking on the door of the try line. Once more here, Francis Cummins' side. Michael Platt off the bench here to get an offload in. Alex Mellor taking it up. 2 tackles left here for the Bradford Bulls as they ring the changes. Cummins has made a few substitutions off the bench. Lulia, well, he opted to go himself. And has he got the ball down to the satisfaction of Ben Thaler? Yes, he has. Keith Lulia gets his 2nd try of the match. He had a man outside him, opted to throw a dummy, believed he could get to the try line, and he was absolutely right, he could. And he takes his try tally into double digits for the season.
Well, the warning light on the petrol tank seemed to be flashing for about 30 seconds there. You just sense that Huddersfield didn't have the capability here. This is the first mistake, partly due to fatigue, forward pass and a turnover of possession. And then Bradford, as we've said here, they're certainly with some great width on the passes, have got the ball from the centre of the field, just about the sideline with 2 quick balls. 1, 2, and then he's got space, he's got size, and he's got the power to score from that range.
Watch the hesitancy from Luke George. He has got to go as hard, as fast as he can and worry about Keith Lulia. The best he can hope for is if his wingman comes in and jams in as well. But Luke George on that occasion just hesitated. Some runners on his inside, the inside of the Bradford player, and on the outside has confused him. Keith Lulia, as I said, he is a handful and he's playing very well in recent games. They're going to have to make a decision to get up and stick on him.
Jamie Foster with his 100% record intact so far tonight, but this far and away his most difficult kick. He's had a injury-hit season as well, the former St Helens winger. And by no means been able to play every week. And they're switched around from full-back to wing and back onto the wing for tonight. He'd probably still back him to kick it, given his percentage stats over the years. And he would reward his backers because he's just nailed it straight through the middle. He's a great kicker, Jamie Foster. 18-0 to the Bradford Bulls, who after a shaky start and a flaky start have started to run fairly hot here on their last game of the season. They won't be in the playoffs. They're top of the league after 3 or 4 games this season, Bradford Bulls, but once injuries started to bite in the paper-thin, wafer-thin squad, they've dropped down a bit, but they're showing a few signs of the future, Sean, that they're promising.
Well, they are, and their fans have stuck with them through thick and thin, as loyal fans do. And Keith Lilly has been great value for them, hasn't he? He's a tremendous player on that left edge, and he's just at the moment proven a little bit too smart for the Huddersfield right edge. One of the things you alluded to there, Brian, is particularly when you're defending your line, you can't slide. It's just you just cannot give that sort of ground up. You've got to come off your line and put pressure on the ball player and the runner, and very often that's when you see mistakes made with the football in your hand. But if you just stand off momentarily, you're in trouble, and a player like Keith Lilly will take advantage of that.
News from the south of France, where Catalan 6, Warrington 10, Tony Smith's team still in front there as they prepare for the playoffs. They will finish second regardless if they win, lose or draw. Tony Smith, of course, in charge of the Huddersfield Giants back in the day, and one of the games he was in charge of was a 78 points to 18 thrashing by the Bradford Bulls when they were at the depths of despair. That's a great kick by the Bradford Bulls, and that could well be a 40-20. Boots and all coming up on Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Sky Sports 2 will be a Huddersfield Giants special. Ken Davey and co will be on the show celebrating their league leaders shield. But Jared Salmon's kicked the 40-20 and Bradford Bulls are on the offensive once more.
Well, I think if Francis Cummins has taught his team anything this year, is that when we're in front and on top, we have to make it pay. We have to score points when we have chances. They're 18 at the moment, and possibly here another 6 if they can convert this field position, and a brilliant 40-20 kick into probably the credit it deserves here. Scrum play to Gale, shifting it wide.
Samet again involved. Elliot Keir taking up the charge. May go himself, could go through the lot of them. Well, the door closed in the end, but it was a long time in closing, and 4 Huddersfield Giants had to get it shut. Samet has been outstanding so far, scored a try there. 40-20 has set the platform again for another Bradford Bulls onslaught here. Gale and Addy, and Addy's gone through, and Danny Addy is going to score. Danny Addy's gone through some loose tackling, some tired tackling as the Huddersfield teenagers start to run out of petrol. It's Bradford's 4th try of the first half, and the Bulls go 22-0 in front.
Well, I said on the Stats Pack show last week that I don't think there was a player in Super League who tried harder to win last week than Danny Addy. He was sensational, even though his side lost. Here's the kick to put them into the position, and then the rest of the team know here we've got 6 players here to complement that kick, and they do it perfectly. Addy, who can play in almost any position in a rugby league field, runs at the halfback, Jack Miller, runs through him to score here under the post, which should be another 6 points. An interesting time here for Jack Miller. Most halfbacks, when they first start to play, will miss tackles like that. It's just how quickly they can learn to stop the bigger fellas will determine whether he's able to succeed at this level.
Danny Addy has played every game for Bradford in League and Cup this season. He is the only man who has done that, and he has scored a try in the last 3 matches, so he's hit a rich vein of form. It'll be a shame for him that the season will finish when we get to close of play tonight. When you're in that kind of try-scoring form, you want the season to continue, but Bradford's season will terminate at the end of tonight's play.
He's one of the guys they need to hold on to here at the Bradford club. Danny Addy, Tom Olbeson and James Donaldson as well, Rod. Those back rowers are essential to the future of the Bradford club.
Foster makes it 24s in with a straightforward conversion. Yeah, Bradford have made quite a recruitment drive already for next season. The likes of Gareth Carvell will be coming in. We mentioned Luke George coming in, getting their lineup sorted for 2014, which is going to be a season they hope, Sean, that will make them progress on back into the playoffs for the first time in 5 years.
Well, what you do is you reflect and you plan for the future, don't you? And it's young players like Danny Addy here, who I think has been outstanding. Francis Cummins is delighted. He's almost in a position to sit back and put his hands behind his head and his feet up on the desk. Not quite yet, but at 24-0, you know, Huddersfield are going to have to come up with something. And the first thing they've got to come up with is a football. They just haven't. They've just turned over too many in the last 5 or 10 minutes. They've just not had enough sets at all. There's an injury here.
Well, he slipped, didn't he, just before the point of contact, and I'm imagining there was some contact with the head here.
It's Alex Mellor who's gone down. This is only his second appearance for the club. Yeah, there he goes. He loses his footing, and then, well, from then on, he's in the lap of the gods, isn't he? Anything could happen.
Tries to change direction, doesn't he? Wrong foot, the defenders, but as well to hold on to the ball, really.
Well, there's contact with the upper arm there, but I'm not so sure you could apportion blame with anybody, really, the way he was falling down.
Paul Anderson going into this game, he probably didn't expect his side to win, Rod. That would be a, anticipation of a probable event. He would, however, have expected a good performance from him. And there's a couple of players out there tonight who may be playing their first Super League game, but they'll need to play a little bit better to push themselves into Paul Anderson's thinking if it comes into the playoffs. Because as Sean McRae said in the warm-up, they can get injuries. They might play 2 or 3 games in this playoff series to get to the grand final to lift the trophy. He might be calling on more than the 4 players who played last week against the Wakefield Trinity Wildcats. Yeah. So he'll have his eyes glued to their performance for the rest of this game.
Well, look, the list of players is as a long one who aren't playing tonight. We could go through them. We'll probably be here till half-time. But, Danny Brough amongst them, Brett Ferris, Sean Lunt, Craig Kopchak, Scott Griggs, Luke Robinson. A whole host of their biggest stars aren't here tonight.
Insensibly, the medical team seem to have made the decision to remove him here now and tell Alex Mellor, listen, let's just come off and assess this situation. Rugby League has the ability to make 12 changes. You've got 4 guys on the bench, and when there is contact with the head and there's an issue, it makes sense here for that to happen, and Manafort go to come back on.
Eight minutes to go before half-time. Penalty blown by Ben Thaler. Too much faffing around at the ruck, says the official. Bradford get another penalty. 4 tries to 0, 2 for Lalia, 1 for Addy, 1 for Jared Samet. That was the opener. Huddersfield had started pretty brightly. I mentioned the list of players missing. Who's leaving? Leroy Cudjoe amongst them. He had the longest appearance streak in Super League. Cudjoe, 62.
Oh, what a great effort from Jake Connor there.
Touch judge says it was in touch.
Yeah, he's ruled that his foot was on the touchline when he jumped. I think that's why it's been decided is in touch.
What an amazing effort, though. See, his foot's just on the line, foot fault, but he knocks the ball back in before he touches the ground. That would have been play on, but for the foot just on the line, an inch or so over it.
So near yet so far. Spectacular stuff, but not enough to prevent the Bradford Bulls starting another onslaught. The rampaging Bradford Bulls tonight. Manakafoa back on after the injury that we just saw to Mellor. Back on for another stint on the field. And threatening more here, the Bradford Bulls. They're threatening to post a 5th try before half-time. Keir is there. Welsh international. Bradford Bulls, and it'll be a short price. But Samet and Gale get their hands back on the ball once more here. They're the guy who are doing the damage. Here is Samet. Samet offloads. Was there a foot in touch for Jamie Foster? No, there wasn't. It's a try. Ben Thaler awards the 4-pointer. They work the overlap down this near side, the left-hand side, and Jamie Foster hugging the touchline, but not too close, was over in the corner. Foster gets his 5th of the season.
What a great example of how to finish your chances. Whenever Bradford get close to the line, here's the attempt by Jake Connor to keep the ball in play. As you've said, Rod, he knows his team need possession here to cling on. They slipped over here and can't regather the footing. And Jared Samet finds that brilliant pass. I think it's an amazing job by Jamie Foster here to stay in play here. Blackmore tries to push him out, but he stays in play, grounds the ball and knows, well, he's going to follow this up now with a difficult kick. Nice width on the passing, good depth of the back line, all the players timing the runs to perfection, and another nice score in the corner.
Well, Huddersfield have a winning record against almost all the teams in the Super League this season. Warrington, though, have beaten them 3 times, twice in League and once in Cup, but Bradford have split the 2 matches so far. They won at the John Smith Stadium comprehensively earlier on in the season, 43-18. Huddersfield won at the Magic weekend, but the Bradford Bulls looking like taking a 2-1 advantage in this series. They lead comprehensively 28-0, and a confident kicker in Jamie Foster looking to make it 5 from 5 with the boot. This time he is fractionally off target, but even so, Foster's try makes it 28-0.
It's worth revisiting Sean's point here about defending close to your line. If you wait to see what the attack does and are reactionary, you will naturally be a step behind what they do. What Bradford have to do, or the Huddersfield Giants have to do, is get up off the line and make a decision. All do it together and force good play out of the Bradford Bulls. At the moment, Sean, they're sitting back, they're letting the play unfold, and as I said, you're always going to be a step behind them.
You're absolutely right, Brian, and it'll be frustrating for the coaching staff because on that try, for example, they had enough numbers there to stop that. What they didn't do was work as a unit, and they didn't push up and then go out, and they could have stopped that. They had plenty of numbers there. But what they've also worked out now is what Bradford are doing. Bradford get into good field position, they go to the post, they then go right, they then come back, and they set up for that little short side play where their left side, which includes Jared Samet, attacks the right side defence of Huddersfield, and they've had great success in this first half doing it.
Well, here, Bradford Bulls lead 28-0 in the south of France. Warrington are clinging to a much more slender advantage. They lead 10 points to 6 against Catalan Dragons. Remember, if Catalan avoid defeating that game, they will play Hull in France.
It must be full-time, Rod, surely.
Well, they kicked off at 5 o'clock, Sean.
That'll do, near enough. That's good enough. Blow the whistle.
He needs to know, does he bring his passport? That's the thing. It's out of the drawer, it's in the drawer.
I've got to get it renewed, I think.
20-minute start for Huddersfield.
Nice run there, wasn't it? He made that look very easy, Jake Connor, there to step between the two defenders. And there's a wall of white shirts in front of you. Michael Lawrence now, the captain, carries it forward again, and be interesting how much energy and how much thinking they can do here now that they have the ball back in field. They've been under the cosh, haven't they? Standing behind the post, watching the scoreboard tick against them. What recovery and mental toughness have they got right now?
Three minutes to go before the half-time siren. There is Cruz leaming. This is Wood. Drops off a little pass inside to get Huddersfield moving forward with Mason. Leaming again. They've got a lot of high hopes for Leaming as a hooker, but with Sean Lunt bossing that position, tough to get a start, tough to get a game. Knock on by Bradford. So Huddersfield Giants are going to finish the half like they started it, with some good field position.
Here you go. You can drag yourself back into the game. That's a reward for chasing, and Jake Connor's done it every time a kick has gone up. As good a field position as you're going to get now for the Huddersfield Giants before half-time. Get yourself back on the scoreboard. 28-4, 28-6. You got a chance. You got a bit of confidence going in for the break.
News from the south of France, Sean, and Catalan Dragons have taken the lead against the Warrington Wolves. It's 12 points to 10.
Bring the home office.
To Laurent Frez in news side. It's the veteran Steve Mendes who scored the try. That's a loose pass, could go anywhere. It's picked up again, then it's picked up again by Jared Samet. He fancied another crack at them. This time they got back, and there was a posse of Huddersfield Giants corralling him just outside the Bulls' 20-metre line. But another loose pass picked up by Samet.
Well, on this occasion, the recovery was there, and that's a healthy sign for Huddersfield and the supporters. Still getting up quickly here. I know they're playing against a pretty decent team who are very hot tonight and wanted to move the ball both wide to the right and wide to the left, as Alberson now tries to bump through one or two of the defenders. I think Huddersfield will be delighted to hear that half-time hooter and gather some advice here. Every team just wants something from the coach at half-time that can help them improve in the second half, and I think that's what all the ears will be listening for.
Play on is the call from referee Ben Thaler, who hoots and hollers from the Bulls fans, feeling that was high. Kick forward there by Jared Samet, might get to it himself, dribbles its way through, and Samet can't quite get hold of the football, and it's picked up in the end on the far side by Ben Blackmore, who drags him out of trouble. But Jared Samet, well, displayed some amazing footballing skills there, dribbled his way through 2 or 3 Huddersfield Giants and was threatening to go the length of the field soccer style for a minute.
I think he's probably at his best when there's no pressure on him, and tonight is one of those examples. They've got a 28-point lead, and really the outcome of the game is rather immaterial for Bradford, so we're going to see all of his trick shots, I think, over the course of this match.
Well, that will be worth watching if Jared Samet gets the full box of tricks out in the second half here, because he is the magician in the stand-up position for the Bradford Bulls. As we come into the final 30 seconds of the first half, and this, barring something extraordinary, will be Huddersfield's last set of the first 40, and Carl Wood leathers it long, left-footed, It'll be picked up by Elliot Keir inside his own 20-metre area. Have they got one last trick in the box here, the Bradford Bulls? Has Curtis Norton got something up his sleeve? Oh, he has, you know. That's a brilliant run from the teenage fullback on his debut. Really is starting to enjoy himself there in open space, in open field. Lalia, he's definitely enjoyed this first half. An offload which is spilled, this time by Keir, who's in a roving role, cropping up on the left wing, then the right wing, then the left wing again.
Well, there is some interchangeabilities. We hear the half-time hooter. Keir and Norton, the wing and fullback, have been switching positions, and it's all smiles you can see here for Bradford. A week ago, it was a disastrous performance, that first 40 minutes. Well,